Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to InfernoKun, back with The Walking Dead, the final season here, giving my thoughts and opinions and my review of episode 1, Done Running, man. Incredible. But before we go ahead and do that, IGN gave Done Running a 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, I'm not lying, that's pretty low. That's pretty low, okay? So why is this ridiculous? Well, normally I wouldn't mind, but they gave The Walking Dead A New Frontier, I believe, both episodes 1 and 2, they are technically like one episode, so they gave that a 8.8 and said it was refreshing. Okay, wow. Okay, so apparently Done Running is worse than The New Frontier episodes 1 and 2. No. That's my opinion right there, but no, that's not the case. And, normally I wouldn't be very, mad about this. Not really mad. It just wasn't a good review. I watched the review and the reviewer didn't really mention like anything new with the series. Like, of course, this is the fourth game in The Walking Dead, the season series at least. This is the fourth game. And normally how I, see reviews is that you mention, basically, if their predecessors had any faults, you go ahead and mention that, and then you mention the improvement. And this review was technically just the reviewer, she complained about it just being way too slow and way too generic. Not going over any of the engine improvements, or at least the stability, not going over the graphical fidelity, not going over character development too often, not going over gameplay improvements and systems that were different. Because whenever you review a sequel, you want to say, hey, this new installment brings this system, which they did have, the whole unscripted walker combat, which of course they didn't mention at all. So this review was very poorly done and didn't really offer a lot in terms of information to the viewers. So that's why I think about that. The review was just very poorly done, giving it a 6.5 out of 10, and apparently Ties That Bind, part 1 and 2 are better than Done Running. Okay, so that is all I gotta say about that. IGN, it's like she didn't even play season 2 and 3. Like, all she did was talk about how it was too slow and the cast was too generic. And if you played season 2 and season 3, character development was lacking, and the big #1 community critique was the characters weren't being developed that much. So they listened and did that. And here we go, IGN doesn't like it, okay? I'm not sure what happened there, because I think they did a phenomenal job. Of course, to be honest, it was a very, very slow episode, but that was fine by me. I loved it being very, very slow because we got to learn a lot about the characters, a lot. Like, this whole episode had more character development than the entirety of A New Frontier. I'm not lying. So I'm kind of baffled why they're over here complaining that it was too slow and too much talking to characters, when that's what we asked for. We asked for longer episodes, they delivered. And we asked for character development, they delivered. And IGN gives a 6.5 because of that, Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Okay, so enough of that. Enough of me ranting about that real quick. What are my opinions? But also, what are your opinions? Comment them down below about that section. But The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 1, man, I absolutely loved it. I absolutely did, man. It was a nice return to form. I think Telltale is back in full force, and this shows that they are doing a great job, and they're listening to us. Longer episodes. We got 2 hours and 30 minutes of content that was just great, but we also got character development as well, because season 2, it has some, but they neglected Nick and various other characters and didn't develop them too much, while A New Frontier barely had any kind of development at all. That cast was pretty generic. Now, looking at the final season, I can tell you, man, I loved the cast so much, okay? Lewis is hilarious. Marlon was just awesome. I can say that right? Awesome. in terms of just, at the beginning, he was awesome. I can say that. This does contain spoilers, by the way. I'm gonna go ahead and, say that right now. But Violet was just so conflicted that, she's very, very troubled and just like thinks a lot about the past, and it worries her so much. And this bunch of backstory with her that makes her a pretty interesting character, just wondering what she's been carrying around this whole time and what's her thought process going on. That was very, very interesting. Even the characters that I thought wouldn't be very important, like Asim, he was kind of cool. I didn't really like him at first, but he's all right now that I see that Marlon was the way he was. I kind of like Asim a bit more. Rudy was probably the only generic-ish one, and maybe Mitch a little bit. He was a little bit, not too prevalent in the episode. But everyone else, the main focus, the main cast, looking at Brody, she was definitely really cool as well. We just had so much development. Like, I'm not sure, man. The whole conversation with Violet in the bedroom, conversation with her at the lake for fishing, conversation with Brody about the past between her and Violet. It was just so much character development that was really, really great. And I loved hearing every single bit of it because it was just so interesting seeing these characters and what they think. And that's why I think I love this episode so much, because we had so much information about Marlon. Like, we saw how he was, and knowing what he did at the end with, trading the sisters away, it kind of just adds to his character that he was just trying to be a good leader and really cared about them, but he chose doing the wrong thing, and he was just scared, which is very, very interesting for me to see as well. And looking at Lewis, I guess if you went hunting with Lewis and Asim, you would definitely learn more about them. But as of right now, so far for me, Lewis, he's just a funny guy. He's funny, he's awesome, and I want more from him that I didn't get in this episode. So that's definitely my fault for choosing to go with Brody and Violet, but they were definitely very, very cool too. And it's very important for me, because I'm glad I kind of chose Violet and Brody, because I feel like me getting to know Brody at the Violet and Brody scene definitely hit me harder whenever she died. Like, talking to her about why Violet probably hated her definitely made me feel for what happened between her and Violet. And it's definitely really, really cool. And that was just brilliant, man. That was just brilliant. Whenever Brody ended up dying, it hit me a lot harder than I thought it would. I bet if I would have went with Lewis and Asim, I wouldn't have had as much of an impact, but maybe, I'm not sure. So that was definitely really, really good as well. Character development, man, A+++. I loved it so much. Story. The story, I got what I wanted. I spoke of this in various videos that I wanted to have apocalypse problems, okay? Food, shelter, things like that. And the main forefront of the episode was to find food, okay? At the beginning, you wanted to find food for AJ and Clem. And then you had to go ahead and find food for the boarding school as well. I love it whenever we are faced with simple issues like food and shelter. Those make for a very, very, very just simple but also interesting tale. Puts the problems that we have at the forefront, and then whenever conflict arrives, we have that as well. That definitely adds to that. So that's definitely really cool. I got what I wanted from the story, and it was definitely pretty awesome as well. It took a lot of twists and turns, and definitely made for a very engaging and interesting experience. Yes, the story was a bit slow, because they were building these characters, because that ending had to happen, okay? If we did not spend a long time playing cards, walking around talking to people, we would not have had that attachment to Marlon in before he died. That was very crucial to this episode. And maybe even like at the standoff between Clementine and the boarding school as well, that definitely added, because everyone talked to Clementine and they knew about her. So it made for a more, who should I trust, our leader guy who is kind of like, nervous and sprouting out lies, or this person who came to help us in our time of need. pretty much, Also her need as well, because she was kind of banged up on the head, but, none of that, okay? Story was definitely what I wanted, and it was definitely really, really good. Other than that, man, Linked was A++. Hopefully they keep that up for a future episode. Choices, man, choices. Choices were definitely great, okay? I saw various different dialogues from previous seasons, like I shot Kenny. There was one about, shooting Lee. There was one about Carver getting his face bashed in. There's various different events that happened that I remember. And I also did see some other ones, like if Clementine ate Mark, then she will mention that as well. Various small details like that is very, very interesting, and kind of just, rejogs our memory about that kind of stuff, and, think about the past, things like that is very, very interesting. So that was definitely great. In terms of big choices, most of them could actually make an impact. I can see it happening, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they do with that. That's definitely really, really cool. And already we saw some choices not really matter, but kind of just, get taken into effect. And I'm glad they went ahead and actually chose the whole Batman, the Enemy Within system, where it shows you their status at the end of each episode. That's going to be pretty awesome to see as well. And I'm glad they added that. It definitely fits this game very, very, very much. And I hope they go ahead and expand upon that for the next episode. So for the most part, man, all of that said, this was a pretty awesome episode. I absolutely loved it. This is edited in afterwards, okay? I forgot to mention this, but it's about Clementine and AJ, their relationship in the final season, because for the most part, this is a big point, okay? Clem and AJ are different from Clem and Lee, and that is a very, very good thing, and it's done in a very, very good way. Okay, so of course Clementine is taking care of AJ, but AJ's a lot younger than Clementine was. But the big point here is that Clementine, of course, knew her parents and grew up around them. They were taught, manners and, things like that. And you can see that in episode 1 of the final season, AJ's very, very different. He doesn't know manners. He isn't very polite because he was not taught these things. And it shows that, which is very, very, very great writing for AJ, that he actually shows that he has no concept of sharing, is caring, or various things like that. It is done in a very, very, very good way, okay? And even at the end, when he ends up killing Marlon, okay? He grew up in the apocalypse, and it shows he doesn't know right from wrong. It shows that, and that's very, very great, and it's done in a good way, man. That ending is a concept that is really, really, really interesting, and I can't wait to see what happens in episode 2, and that makes it such a good ending, and it adds to AJ because he is such a different person than what Clementine was, that it makes it just even better. So what do you guys think about that? It definitely shows that he did not grow up around parents that taught him right from wrong and that were just teaching him about being polite and things like that. So AJ was done in a phenomenal way that is very, very, very different from Clementine, and that is commendable. Good job. So I'm going to be giving it a 9.5 out of 10. Reason why the loss of a 0.5 is because of the pacing. It was slow, but it was also fast towards the end, so it was kind of a bit mispaced in a way, I guess. So other than that, phenomenal episode. Definitely one of my top favorite Walking Dead episodes. This right here rivals The Walking Dead Season 1. Not going to lie, okay? Right now, we don't know what's going to be like with episode 2, 3, and 4, but this could potentially be a worthy successor and a worthy end to Clementine's story. So, thank you all for watching this video. Go ahead and comment down below your thoughts and opinions and your review of The Walking Dead, the final season, episode 1. I want to definitely see your comments. I might actually do a follow-up video taking your comments and reading them and giving my opinion and showcasing them, so that's pretty cool as well. So thank you all for watching. Once again, I'm InfernoKun. If you guys haven't enjoyed, go ahead and leave me a thumbs up and subscribe for more content on the channel, and I will catch you guys next time on The Walking Dead.